Motorcycles that once promised freedom now sit unsold, gathering dust, while their brands edge toward bankruptcy. Riders who trusted these machines are regretting every mile. Think you could spot them? You'll be surprised. Don't blink. Stay with us until the final reveal because the worst offender will leave you speechless. Number 9. Harley-Davidson Sportster Iron 883. A select few bikes have become rolling icons, their presence instantly recalling the freedom and grit of countless cross-country miles. Yet, for all its heritage, this one has slowly shifted from a symbol of rebellion to a cautionary tale sitting untouched in the corner of many showrooms. The Iron 883 once promised raw simplicity and stripped-down style, but in today's market, the charm has been overshadowed by limitations that even loyal riders cannot ignore. The Iron 883 is powered by an air-cooled 883 cubic centimeter Evolution V twin, producing 49 horsepower and 54 pound-feet of torque. A 5-speed gearbox drives a belt final, with a single disc at each end using dual piston calipers. Many riders say braking is predictable but lacks the sharp feel found on newer models. A conventional front fork pairs with twin rear shocks, giving a familiar cruiser ride. Wet weight is 564 pounds, seat height is 29.9 inches, and starting price is $11,999. One frustrated owner admitted the bike looked the part in the showroom, but felt sluggish and uninspired on the road, eventually calling it the only Harley he regretted buying before moving on to something more capable. The riding position still offers that familiar low stance, making it approachable for a wide range of riders, but the narrow power band and limited ground clearance reveal themselves quickly on longer rides. On the open road, the Iron 883's vibrations are part of its personality, but for those expecting more refined comfort, the fatigue can set in before the first gas stop. Compounding the challenge is the fact that modern competitors deliver more horsepower, better suspension travel, and advanced electronics at similar or lower prices. It is not that the Iron 883 has lost its soul, rather the world around it has evolved while it stayed stubbornly still. In the eyes of many dealers, floor space is too valuable to dedicate to a bike that now appeals to a shrinking niche. This is not just about performance, it is about economics. New riders often skip straight to midsize or touring models, while experienced riders see little reason to step down to a machine with fewer capabilities. As a result, some dealerships quietly reduce their orders, letting the once iconic silhouette fade into the background. The journey from a once essential gateway into the brand to a slow-moving relic is a stark reminder that even heritage needs to adapt. And while the Iron 883's legacy will always be part of Harley-Davidson's story, the next entry shows what happens when a manufacturer attempts a bold reinvention and ends up straying too far from what riders truly want. If you're enjoying the ride so far, give this video a like. It lets us know we're on the right track. Drop a comment and tell us which bike has caught your attention. Your thoughts keep this community rolling and the conversation alive for every rider. Number 8. Indian Challenger Elite. Now and then, a motorcycle arrives carrying the crown before proving if it can truly wear it. This one stepped onto the stage as a direct contender for long-distance supremacy, aiming to blend modern engineering with the visual presence of a traditional American bagger. It entered the market with the confidence of a prizefighter, yet in dealer showrooms, its shine has dimmed under the realities of ownership. The Challenger Elite runs a liquid-cooled 1,768 cubic centimeter Power Plus V-twin, delivering 122 horsepower and 128 pound-feet of torque through a 6-speed transmission and belt final drive. Dual front discs, with 4 piston calipers and a large single rear disc, provide strong stopping power, yet one owner admitted the bulk and awkward ergonomics made long-distance comfort a struggle, saying the bike wore him out faster than any other touring machine he had ridden. Its touring-focused suspension combines inverted front forks with a single rear shock using hydraulic adjustment. Wet weight is 840 pounds, seat height stands at 26.5 inches, and starting price is $35,999, placing it firmly in the premium class. On paper, these numbers promise a touring machine that could outpace much of its competition. In practice, the experience has been mixed. The wide fairing and expansive dashboard deliver presence, but also create a sense of bulk that can become tiring in crosswinds or heavy traffic. The engine pulls hard in the mid-range, yet the added complexity of liquid cooling and advanced electronics introduces more potential failure points. Dealers have reported instances of software glitches affecting ride modes and infotainment functions, and some owners face extended wait times for replacement parts. For riders expecting simple maintenance and predictable reliability, this can sour the ownership experience quickly. The saddle offers generous padding for long rides, and the fairing-mounted windscreen does an admirable job of reducing fatigue on extended highway stretches. However, the trade-off is a less connected feel to the road, making spirited cornering less engaging than on some rivals. Fuel economy also suffers when the engine is pushed, a detail that becomes noticeable on remote touring routes where fuel stops are scarce. These compromises have left some dealerships cautious, particularly in markets where simpler air-cooled touring bikes remain in higher demand. This is a motorcycle that shows what happens when innovation is not balanced with the ease of ownership that veteran riders value most. And while it still draws attention parked on Main Street, the next machine on our list demonstrates that even the best intentions can fall short when the end result feels more like a statement piece than a trusted companion. Crackdowns are getting stricter. Ride safe and avoid penalties with the right helmets and gear. Check the description below. Number 7. BMW R. 18. Transcontinental. Some rides capture attention without a sound. Massive chrome, sweeping design, and a motor that looks built to conquer miles. This one entered the scene with bold confidence, aiming to marry traditional cruiser aesthetics with the long-distance comfort of a full-dress tourer. Its arrival was meant to challenge the deeply rooted American heavyweights, but for many riders, the sheer scale and character have proven more intimidating than inviting. The Transcontinental carries an air and oil-cooled 1,783 cubic centimeter boxer twin, delivering 91 horsepower and 116 pound-feet of torque, connected to a 6-speed transmission with shaft-final drive. Dual front discs with 4-piston calipers and a single rear disc with 4-piston caliper offer firm braking. Yet one rider recalled a 2-week tour where the bike's sheer bulk and heat buildup in summer traffic made every stop exhausting, leaving him questioning whether it was truly built for extended comfort despite its premium touring image. A telescopic front fork pairs with a cantilever rear shock to support the frame's substantial 945-pound wet weight. Seat height is 28.3 inches, and with a starting price of $27,995, it targets the premium touring segment. From the saddle, the Transcontinental offers a commanding riding position and a wide fairing that shields the rider from most wind buffeting. The broad seat and expansive floorboards invite all-day cruising, but the weight quickly makes itself known in parking lots or on uneven surfaces. The distinctive boxer engine delivers a steady surge of torque at highway speeds, though it can feel lethargic off the line compared to more responsive V-twins. The large front end and deep body panels add visual drama, yet they also contribute to a steering feel that some riders find slow and heavy. Long-haul comfort is supported by generous storage capacity and a comprehensive electronics package, but these features come at the cost of complexity. Riders used to the simplicity of traditional cruisers may find the layers of settings and controls distracting. On tighter roads, the bulk limits agility, and the combination of weight and wheelbase encourages a slower, more deliberate riding style. These traits, while acceptable to some, have led certain dealerships to focus on smaller, more approachable models in the lineup. For all its craftsmanship and visual presence, the Transcontinental illustrates how ambition can sometimes overshadow everyday practicality. It remains a striking piece of engineering for riders who value presence over nimbleness. Yet the next motorcycle in our countdown shows that even when size is scaled back, missing the balance between style and usability can still lead to trouble on the showroom floor. Number 6. Honda Rebel 1100 TDCT. There are motorcycles designed to evolve a winning formula, blending familiar strengths with fresh capability for a wider audience. This one attempted to take a lightweight, approachable cruiser and give it long-distance credibility, yet in doing so, it found itself caught between two worlds. It carries the familiar minimalist styling but hides a more complex personality beneath the surface. The Rebel 1100T draws power from a liquid-cooled 1,084 cubic centimeter parallel twin, producing 87 horsepower and 72 pound-feet of torque, paired to a 6-speed dual-clutch transmission with optional manual control. Braking is handled by a single front disc with a 4-piston caliper and a single rear disc with a single piston caliper, yet one rider admitted that despite its versatility in city commuting, the bike felt cramped and fatiguing on longer highway rides, saying the ergonomics and wind protection fell short of what a touring machine should deliver. A telescopic front fork works with twin rear shocks, featuring adjustable preload to manage the 520-pound wet weight. Seat height stands at 27.5 inches, and pricing starts at $11,399. From the rider's seat, the Rebel feels compact for a touring machine with low bars and forward-set controls that favor relaxed cruising. The dual-clutch transmission offers seamless shifts in automatic mode and quick gear changes in manual, which can make city commuting nearly effortless. However, when pushed on open highways, the narrow frame and short wheelbase reveal the limits of its touring ambitions. Stability at high speed is competent but lacks the planted feel of heavier, purpose-built baggers. The included saddlebags and fairing add convenience, yet they also disrupt the stripped-down look that drew many riders to the original design. Where the Rebel excels is in accessibility. Riders transitioning from smaller displacement bikes will find it unintimidating, and the power delivery is smooth enough for long days in the saddle. Still, for seasoned riders seeking a dedicated touring companion, it can feel like a compromise. Too small for serious cross-country travel, too dressed up for those who prefer the lean, stripped profile of the base model. Dealers have found that this middle ground makes it harder to match the bike with a committed buyer, leaving some units on the floor longer than expected. This motorcycle stands as a reminder that not every expansion of a successful model results in broader appeal. By stretching a cruiser into the touring space without fully embracing either identity, it risks pleasing neither camp completely. And as we move to the next entry, we find a machine whose challenge was not about finding its place, but about venturing into an entirely new riding category and stumbling in the attempt. Number 5. Harley-Davidson Pan America 1250 Special. Certain bikes stand as milestones, signaling a brand's bold move into ground they once swore they'd never touch. This one was built to take the fight to seasoned adventure touring rivals, carrying the unmistakable bar and shield badge into deserts, mountain passes, and distant highways. It entered the scene with sharp edges, tall stance, and a clear message that Harley-Davidson could do more than chrome and cruise. For many, it was a bold gamble worth celebrating, yet reality in the field has tempered that early excitement. Beneath its adventure-ready frame sits a liquid-cooled 1,255 cubic centimeter Revolution Max V twin pushing 150 horsepower and 94 pound-feet of torque through a 6-speed transmission with chain final drive. Dual front discs with 4-piston calipers and a single rear disc with floating caliper handle braking. Yet one rider complained that once the bike was loaded with gear, its tall stance and heavy weight made technical trails feel more intimidating than exciting, leaving him frustrated that the supposed go-anywhere machine felt less confident the further he strayed from pavement. Electronically adjustable inverted front forks pair with a linked rear shock to adapt to varying terrain. Wet weight stands at 561 pounds, seat height adjusts between 31.1 and 32.7 inches, and pricing begins at $19,999. From the first twist of the throttle, the Pan America delivers a surge of acceleration uncommon in this class, with smooth revs and a broad spread of usable torque. On open terrain, it feels eager, covering ground quickly and tracking well through sweeping curves. Yet the same electronics that give it versatility can also create headaches. Early owners have reported ride mode glitches, sensor faults, and intermittent errors in the adaptive ride height system. While not universal, these issues stand out more in a segment where long-distance reliability is paramount. The seating position offers a commanding view ahead, aided by wide handlebars and a tall windscreen. Off-road, it is capable for its size, but its weight demands attention on loose ground or technical trails. Fuel range is respectable, but wind resistance from the broad front can affect mileage at highway speeds. For riders used to Harley's network of touring-friendly dealerships, the learning curve for servicing a complex adventure machine has been steeper than expected, with some locations less prepared to stock parts or troubleshoot unfamiliar systems. The Pan America embodies the risks and rewards of reinvention. Ambitious, powerful, and full of potential, but still finding its footing with the riders it seeks to serve. As we move to the next entry, we encounter a touring heavyweight whose sheer scale and design choices have made it a challenge for even the most committed riders to embrace. Number 4. Yamaha Star Venture. Some rides carry an aura of dominance, their sheer size and presence speaking louder than any exhaust note ever could. This one was designed to stand shoulder to shoulder with the most established American touring machines, offering comfort, technology, and capacity in abundance. For a while, it appeared ready to claim its share of the open road, yet many riders and dealerships have since found its strengths offset by equally significant drawbacks. Within its imposing touring frame lies an air-cooled 1,854 cubic centimeter V-twin, generating 75 horsepower and 126 pound-feet of torque, paired with a 5-speed transmission and belt-final drive. Dual front discs with 4-piston calipers work alongside a single rear disc with 2-piston caliper, yet one longtime rider admitted that despite its presence on the highway, the bike's sheer weight and dated ergonomics wore him down on cross-country trips, making long days feel more like work than freedom and leaving him questioning whether the machine was truly built for modern touring demands. A telescopic front fork is matched with a preload adjustable rear shock to balance comfort and handling. Tipping the scales at 963 pounds, it offers a seat height of 27.4 inches and a starting price of $24,999. From behind the bars, the Star Venture project's authority, its wide-faring and integrated luggage creating the impression of a rolling command center. The broad seat and generous passenger accommodations make it a natural choice for extended travel. Its V-twin delivers steady, predictable torque well-suited for highway cruising, yet the engine's low horsepower ceiling and heavy chassis make acceleration less than inspiring when the load is full or the road turns steep. In dense traffic or confined parking areas, the weight demands respect, and riders often find themselves planning every slow-speed maneuver in advance. The bike's amenities are plentiful, with a fully featured infotainment system, heated grips, and multiple storage compartments adding to its long-haul credentials. Still, the complexity of its electronics has led to glitches and, in some cases, extended downtime while awaiting parts. Fuel economy suffers under the strain of its weight and wind profile, making range a consideration on long stretches between stations. These traits have made some dealerships cautious about stocking large numbers, especially in regions where nimbleness and lighter weight tend to win over more riders than sheer carrying capacity. For those who value a fortress-like ride with room for every travel essential, the Star Venture remains an impressive option. Yet its market performance shows that capability alone does not guarantee widespread appeal. Moving to the next entry, we turn to a machine that proves even raw power can become a liability when it overshadows practical riding dynamics. Number 3. Kawasaki Vulcan, 2000. When engineers decide to chase brute force over compromise, the result is a machine that towers over its competition. This one arrived as the largest displacement V-twin in mass production at the time, carrying an intimidating presence that could overshadow even the most seasoned cruiser veterans. It was a machine designed to dominate the boulevard, but in practice, that extreme specification came with challenges that not every rider or dealership was willing to take on. Dominating the cruiser class, this machine runs a liquid-cooled 2053 cubic centimeter V-twin, delivering 103 horsepower and 141 pound-feet of torque through a 5-speed transmission with belt final drive, dual front discs with 4-piston calipers, and a single rear disc with twin-piston caliper managed braking. And one rider recounted crossing 3 states in a single weekend, praising the bike's stability at highway speeds, but admitting its sheer weight demanded patience during tight city turns. A telescopic front fork pairs with a twin-shock rear to handle the 820-pound wet weight. Seat height is 27.2 inches, and the original starting price was $13,499. The Vulcan delivers massive torque from the first throttle twist, offering effortless highway cruising but feeling excessive in traffic. Its long wheelbase, heavy weight, and wide bars demand careful low-speed control. Some riders loved its raw locomotive character, while others found it tiring and impractical for everyday riding. The styling is equally commanding, with a long, low stance, massive fenders, and a broad tank that telegraphs its muscle bike personality from every angle. However, its sheer size limited comfort for smaller riders, and the fuel economy could dip noticeably with aggressive riding. Dealers discovered that while it could attract attention on the showroom floor, the pool of buyers willing to commit to such a large and demanding machine was smaller than expected. That meant these bikes sometimes lingered unsold, tying up valuable space and capital. The Vulcan 2000 stands as an example of what happens when peak power and size take priority over balanced usability. It remains a memorable chapter in the heavyweight cruiser story, but our next entry shows that even a bold design and unique identity are not enough to secure a lasting place on the road. Number 2. Victory Vision Tour. When engineers decide to chase brute force over compromise, the result is a machine that towers over its competition. This one was intended to be a bold statement of modern touring design, a machine that would pull the brand into a new era while offering riders a long-distance experience unlike anything else on the road. It was futuristic, polarizing, and unmistakable, but in the end, those very qualities made it as divisive as it was innovative. Built for long-haul comfort, this heavyweight cruiser carries an air and oil-cooled 1,731 cubic centimeter V-twin pushing 97 horsepower and 109 pound-feet of torque through a 6-speed transmission with belt final drive. Dual front disc with 4-piston calipers and a single rear disc with 2-piston caliper provides steady stopping power. Yet one owner shared his frustration after attempting a multi-state trip, saying the constant struggle with its heavy frame in traffic and parking lots drained the joy out of touring and left him questioning if the comfort was worth the hassle. A conventional front fork pairs with a single rear shock featuring adjustable preload to manage the 869-pound wet weight. Seat height is 26.5 inches, and the original price was $21,999. The Vision Tour provides a panoramic view from its wide fairing, plush seating, and ample luggage for long trips. Its V-twin delivers steady highway torque, but the large size, wide turning radius, and unconventional styling hinder low-speed maneuverability and failed to connect with traditional touring riders, limiting its market appeal. The cockpit is filled with amenities aimed at comfort and convenience, from heated grips to an adjustable windscreen. Still, the abundance of molded panels and unique design elements meant repairs could be costly and time-consuming, as parts were model-specific and aftermarket support was limited. When the brand was discontinued, dealer networks quickly thinned, making service and parts sourcing even more challenging for owners. The Vision Tour stands as an example of how daring design can be both a strength and a weakness. Its ambition was undeniable, and for some riders it remains a cherished machine, but its market performance shows that not all bold experiments find lasting success. Our final entry takes us from polarizing innovation to a model that promised accessibility, yet became one of the most reluctant sellers in dealer history. If you've made it this far, you're clearly one of us. Someone who lives for the open road. Subscribe now so you never miss the next list, review, or deep dive. Every week we bring the bikes, the stories, and the insight riders like you deserve. Number 1. Harley-Davidson Street 500 and Street 750. To reach the riders of tomorrow, a brand sometimes crafts a bike meant to make that very first impression. This one was meant to be the most accessible entry into the Harley-Davidson world, promising an affordable path to ownership without sacrificing the character of the name on the tank. It targeted urban commuters, newer riders, and markets outside the United States, all while carrying the hope of building lifelong loyalty. The ambition was clear, but the execution left both buyers and dealerships hesitant. Offered in 2 engine sizes, the Street line uses a liquid-cooled Revolution X V-twin with the 500 displacing 494 cubic centimeters for 35 horsepower and the 750 at 749 cubic centimeters producing 47 horsepower. Torque outputs are 32 pound-feet and 44 pound-feet respectively, yet one rider recalled regretting his purchase after only a few months, saying the 750 struggled to keep up on longer highway runs and the 500 felt completely out of place for anything beyond city streets, leaving him feeling shortchanged by a bike carrying the Harley badge. Both versions employ single front and rear discs with dual piston calipers, supported by a standard anti-lock braking system in later years. A conventional front fork and twin rear shocks handle the 517-pound wet weight with a seat height of 28 inches and a $7,699 starting price. The Street Series offered an accessible seat height and neutral ergonomics, making it manageable in city traffic. The smaller displacement suited new riders, while the larger added modest performance. However, many criticized finish quality, component fitment, and refinement, noting paint, welds, and trim felt cost-cutting rather than matching the brand's reputation. The pared-down performance also created a challenge. While intended for urban use, the modest horsepower and torque figures limited excitement on open highways, making it difficult for the Street Series to appeal to seasoned riders. Dealers in traditional cruiser markets found them particularly slow-moving, as most buyers preferred stepping directly into mid-sized or full-size models with more power and presence. This lack of broad appeal, combined with the logistical realities of maintaining a separate production line for lower-cost models, eventually led to their quiet removal from showrooms. The Street 500 and Street 750 will be remembered as an ambitious attempt to widen the brand's reach. Yet, their market story underscores a truth this industry knows well. Heritage alone cannot sell a motorcycle that does not fully deliver on the experience riders expect. Every mile, every rumble, every twist of the throttle, we've covered the machines that make it all worth it. Now it's your turn to keep the conversation rolling. Hit that like button if one of these bikes sparked your interest, and drop a comment sharing your favorite. If you're new here, subscribe and join a growing community of riders who live for power, comfort, and the open road. We've got more rides, more reviews, and more stories coming your way. Don't just watch from the sidelines. Be part of the pack. The next ride is closer than you think.